our next one, and our next one is going to be Christopher Familia. Christopher Familia was born 6/10/2000 in the Dominican Republic. I think there's got to be some interesting stories, a few interesting stories here. He is 23 years old, spent 2 years in the DSL, got promoted in 2022, came stateside. That could have been, a certificate issue. 2023, he got promoted to A and then high A, but his overall stats this year were 269 at bat, or 261 at bats, 307 average, on base 378, slug 617, on base plus slugging 995 with 22 home runs and 0 stolen bases. So no speed to speak of, 11 doubles, 61 strikeouts, 25 walks. I'll be completely honest with you guys on this one. This is a complete unknown for me. I don't know anything about Christopher Familia. This would be, since I built my screenshots and stuff this morning, this would be the second time I've even spoken his name.
So for me, let me first talk about what STS sees. STS sees somebody that has a lot of power, who actually has done his damage with a fair amount of bad luck. So that's pretty good considering the stat line this year was pretty sparkling, despite that. So what sticks out to me, however, is that he's 23 years old. He's playing in the low minors. His plate discipline isn't all that grand. I'm not buying it. I'm going to say that this is somebody that I'm walking away from, to take a phrase from you. Christopher Familia is somebody for other people to draft, for other people to own, and not for me.
I don't have anything else to add on top of that. I agree with you. I just, maybe it's a lack of, or not a lack, maybe it's ignorance on my part of just not knowing who this character is. I'm passing. I don't see it in the stats. I'd let somebody else feast on this one.
Yep. So walking away, but right. I will say maybe next year goes a long ways into showing us what he's capable of doing.
For sure. All right. Our next homeboy here is going to be Mr. Andy Pages. Me and Ross have talked about Andy Pages for quite some time. We're pretty big fans. We were down on him last year, but he had a pretty sparkling good year this year. The power's always been there. Andy Pages, 6'1", 212 pounds. He's 23 years old. He's born in Cuba, December 8th. Let's see. I'd like to speak on what we saw last year in 2022, because we were both down pretty hard here. He had 487 at bats, 236 average, 336 on base, 468 slug, 26 home runs. We weren't blown away because we were expecting so much coming off of 2021, where he had 31 home runs and the 265 average. But he did bounce back this year, other than one little category. And that's probably because of an injury. But he had 112 at bats this year, 277 average, 425 on base, slugged 482, on base plus slugging of 907. He only had 3 home runs this year, but it was only 112 at bats. Strikeouts 34, walks 26. He built something to really take on there, because he was striking out a little bit too much years prior. And I think he kind of figured something out there. He did have 7 stolen bases. Everything that I've said there, Ross, do you kind of concur with? We were fans.
Injury-plagued season, so it's hard to pull too much more. But he did show dramatic improvement with his plate discipline. Yep. So that's promising. I don't know what to make of it, because it's too small of a sample for this year, but he's on the precipice of the major leagues. I don't know how he cracks the Dodgers lineup or if he fits in there. The power is legit. Yeah. I just don't think the bat is that strong. That's the flip side of it. I think the hit tool is pretty weak. Like if I were to give Scout grades, which you don't, but let's go ahead and say I pretend like I do, I'd say it's maybe a 40 bat at most, 35, 40 bat. And we're looking at 65-ish power, which a couple of years ago, I thought he had some of the best power in the minor leagues, and he still does have very good power. STS gives him a comp that I find very interesting to Carlos Pena. So that's an impact major leaguer, and it's somebody that has legit power, but again, the hit tool is not great. So,
yeah. I think in 2021, and I don't want to speak for you, but I think we had Pages way up there. Like we were thinking he was going to be on a rocket ship. And he could have been, but he had a rough 2022, which is fine. You can have bad years. 2023 was injury plagued. I am cautiously optimistic here. I'm still on board, just lower than where I was before. If you own him, he's a hold. If you don't own him, he's not quite a go get him unless at the right price. Yep. If you're not giving much up, I would certainly go get him. And then you can sit on him and see what happens. The Dodgers don't mess up. Especially lately. The Dodgers have been pretty damn good. They're pretty young in the outfield. He's probably not breaking in there unless there's an injury. Mookie did move back to second, from what I heard. He's going to play strictly second this year. So there's an opening there. But, they have young talent. You have Vargas that's still in there. Outman. It's going to be tough in this.
Does Ohtani play outfield? What are we doing? Is he going to play some outfield this year?
He's not pitching at all, right?
Not in 2024, I don't think.
So you're not going to put him in the outfield to make him make throws. You're just going to.
There was some talk that he could play some outfield. At least that's the buzz I heard. So.
That's just as much strain on your arm throwing it from the outfield as a pitcher, right? If not more.
I don't know. I don't know. You're not doing it 100 and some times a game, but
right.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I can't imagine he plays outfield. Oh, you're going to put that $700 million contract in the outfield? I don't think so. I don't see it.
You're also not going to pay a DH $700 million, you know?
To sit this year and come back healthy next, maybe you do.
Fair, okay. If we're just talking about 1 year, sure.
Yeah. So the unfortunate thing here is the team. I don't see him cracking the lineup, but he can sit in AAA all year. He needs to prove a lot. So I do. I want to say this is a go get him for the right price.
I have him ranked number 74 personally, so I do have him ranked somewhat aggressively. I say, yeah, I'm with you at the right price. So if somebody has him like out of the top 100, that's the guy you want to buy from. If they're like he's a top 50 prospect, nah. I think most places you look at, they probably don't have him in the top 100. So
he would be beautiful as a throw-in, where you just don't think your trade's quite good enough. Well, give me Pages. That would be beautiful.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, cool. Right. So we want him. We just don't want to pay for him.
We want him. I'm not giving up a lot for him because I don't think he's a player that's going to be a impact difference maker for your team. I think he's a major league bat, though. Yeah. And that means there's value there. So if there's value there, you want to roster him until you can maximize that value and then move. Right? That's generally how I would approach it. So that's how I would treat Pages, because I feel pretty confident in that stance that he's going to make a difference. He's not somebody that I think I want to be a staple on my team, though. So,
okay, I like it. Andy Pages. All right, Art. Cool. All right, so our next one's going to be Luis Baez. Luis Baez is with the Single A affiliate with the Houston Astros. He's 6'1", 205 pounds. He is 19 years old, born January 11th, 2004 in the Dominican Republic. Let's see. His stats look as goes. 2023 saw him in the rookie affiliate and then Single A affiliate. Overall, 214 at-bats, 248 average, on base 357, slugged 481, on base plus slugging 838, 62 strikeouts, 33 walks, 1 stolen base, 11 home runs. He's a decent individual. I just don't know much about him. How much have you been targeting him, Ross?
I think he's a guy that we could see move up pretty aggressively in rankings in the coming years, but I don't know if I'm seeing him as a potential, future top 20 guy necessarily or anything like that. What STS is seeing is a lot of power potential, projecting him for at peak 33 home runs. That's pretty good. But I think there's work to be done on the bat side, on the hit side, and on the plate discipline side. So last year in the DSL, he put up some very nice numbers, hit 305. This year, he hit just 248. Granted, he did make his way all the way up to Single A. Struck out 62 times, which is an alarming amount of strikeouts in the number of plate appearances he got, but it's maybe a tad high. A tad high? I don't know. I'm watching him with a lot of intrigue coming into 2024, so definitely on my watch list, and somebody that I'll go after and get in deep leagues, trying to get him on the cheap for sure.
Yeah, certainly. This is the kind of guy that I'm going to miss out in almost every league because I just want to see more, and I'm gonna miss the train, and that's okay. But I do see potential here. I don't see everything that I want in taking throwing my fishing pole out there and grabbing a guy. It's just not there yet. You're right. He should be somebody that you need to target because it's not going to cost you anything. Once again, I didn't even know the guy's name until we sat down here. But yeah, target him, see what you can get him for.
Right now he's in the back end of my top 100. So I do have him ranked. That's notable.
That's big time.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. We're jumping into Kelvin Alcantara. Kevin Alcantara is with the Chicago Cubs. He's 21 years old. He's 6'6", 188 pounds. This year, let's see. Overall, let's go overall. He has 1,099 at bats in the minors. His average sits at 282, on base 354, slug 458, and on base plus slugging 812. There's 34 home runs, 39 stolen bases, strikeouts 300, walks 116. 2023, we've seen 309 at bats, 284 average, 345 slugging, and 465 slugging. On base plus slugging is 810. 13 home runs, 15 stolen bases, 105 strikeouts, 36 walks. We have a little bit of a plate discipline issue here. But he stuffs the stat line, right? I mean, three triples, 26 doubles. he's got a lot going for him. My fear here is he's just a guy. Is that kind of how you see it? He's just a guy.
Kind of, yeah. Very interesting profile in general. He's really tall, really thin, real thin right now, and he'll probably fill out, which means the power could come for Alcantara. I think a lot of people are banking on projection when it comes to Alcantara, but I'm not a projection guy, and I'm with you. I see plate discipline that's not great. I see some counting numbers. I see a decent all-around profile. Right now, I would say he looks like he could be a guy that would be like a 2020 sort, presuming that the speed stays and the power doesn't like blow up or something. But I think there's just so much projection that's baked into how people view him, typically speaking. Now, clearly STS is seeing something in the numbers too. If they have him this high, he's number 17 in our rankings. That's pretty decent. I just don't love the profile, and I don't see the growth that other people are banking on quite as much. And that's probably because I'm such a stat-based person. But we do have somebody that was 20, probably 21 by the time he reached AA. I mean, that's pretty decent. I don't love the profile myself.
But it's still a good profile. That's
it's a solid profile.
That's the thing that's the thing that's got me staying here. I have a comp here that I don't know if you're going to love, but I love it. Man, he reads Max Kepler to me. Everybody was so excited for Max Kepler, and I think his stats would probably mirror here. And it just has never really blossomed. It's never really popped. He's just kind of a guy.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I feel like, okay, I can see that comp a little bit, but Max Kepler before he came up was pretty good in the minor leagues.
Well, so is Alcantara. I mean, it's pretty good.
Something pretty similar. I don't know. I mean, yeah, okay. I can see it. I can see that, I guess. He hasn't had the big breakout that I think everybody was hoping for. And I guess that's my fear with Alcantara, is that there's so much projection into this breakout season that may never come. And maybe this is
that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying. Yeah, it's like it's a fine profile, just like Max Kepler. Do we think he's going to blow up, or do we hope he's going to blow up? Yeah. Is it ever going to happen? I don't know. Would you tell me about that? Didn't you go to a Minnesota Twins game and you were saying all the girls are just staring at Max Kepler?
Oh, yeah. The girls all love Max Kepler.
That's awesome. I like Max Kepler, too.
Yeah. Maybe for different reasons, but...
Yeah. I like him as a baseball player, but yeah, all the girls were staring at... I find that very humorous, that girls were just like in awe of the German. He's German, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you look at a guy like, you know how athletes, they're professional baseball athletes. They're just so much bigger than in person than anybody else. But he was clearly built. You know, he's clearly a built human being.
Yeah, that's awesome. Sorry, getting off on the rails there. All right. Are we at 15?
16.
16, okay. One more and then I can start slurring my words. All right.
Yeah.
One of my favorites. This is somebody that I talk about quite a bit, and I think the world of him. He's very, very high in my personal rankings. But at number 16, we are at Pete Crow-Armstrong with the Chicago Cubs. He is 21 years old. He's 5'11", 184 pounds. He was drafted by the New York Mets in round 1, pick 19, out of Harvard Westlake, Los Angeles, California High School. as I stated, we've talked about Pete Crow-Armstrong in the past, so I'm going to jump straight into his 2023 stats. 2023 saw Pete Crow PCA. It's got to happen. Everybody has already started calling him that, anyways. He doesn't have a name; he just has an abbreviation. PCA, seen AA stats and AAA stats. He had 438 at bats. Averaged 283, on base 365, slugged 511, on base plus slugging 876, 129 strikeouts, 46 walks, 20 bombs, 37 stolen bases, 26 doubles, and 7 triples. I know what I want to say, and I'm not even going to let you talk before I say go get him.
Okay, all right. All right, so let me be the wet towel then. So
Why?
PCA, well, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Let me start with the good. I have him ranked my 13th overall prospect, so it's not like I'm down on PCA. I'm high on PCA. That sounds like a drug, by the way. I'm not high on any drugs. I do have some beer in me.
He's a drug for me. I can't get enough.
You can't get enough. I love it. As you can tell, we're closing in on 2 hours on this sucker. So, cheers. Anyway, PCA is a great drug. I have him ranked number 13th overall, so I'm very high on him. But STS is quite a bit lower on him. As you can see, he's coming in at 16 overall. So I don't think that that's so much about PCA as it is about other players and adjustments that the model is making that favor them a little bit more. But even if you look at the projections, especially unregressed, they look pretty good for PCA all around. So I think some other players are benefiting from adjustments that put them higher than PCA, if I'm being frank. I just think it's signaling something to be cautious about, because if you have to pay top 10 prospect prices for him, that's where I would hesitate. That's where I'm pumping the brakes a little bit. But all that said, I think he is on the precipice of being a top 10 quality prospect. Was 21 years old, qualified as a 21-year-old last year, is still 21 years old, made the major leagues. Didn't have a glorious debut, but he didn't even get 20 plate appearances to show off what he can do. And throughout the season, he was hit for power, steals bases. He had 37 stolen bases, 20 home runs. Even STS has to acknowledge the power speed potential there. Let me just read his overall projected line, because I think it's pretty good. He projects for a slash of 250 batting average, 314 OBP, and 409 slugging percentage with 18 home runs and 24 stolen bases. His counting numbers are pretty good. I think you want that on your team, especially by STS standards. So I think this is a really good, solid, all-around player. I just don't want to pay top 10 prices for him. Top 25? Yes.
I think he
just don't
this year.
Well, he debuted last year.
I think he starts this year.
He should start. He should start in the major leagues with the Cubs. Interestingly enough, we had Cubs back-to-back. We started this podcast with Orioles back-to-back. Yeah. But I think you'd agree with me that we both think that PCA is at least a tier, if not two, above Alcantara. So.
Oh yeah. And I think to be honest with you, I think he's a tier above maybe 7 of the next guys that we're going to be talking about. But that's my personal rankings. That's not STS.
Yep. Well, and his major league sample wasn't great, so I mean that's factored in there too. That might have dropped him a little bit.
Hey, that only helps you go get him.
Possibly, yeah. And it works the other way too. Sometimes we see guys that come up and have fantastic debuts, you got a whole history of minor league stats in most cases. Don't ignore it. Ignore at your own peril. That's what I say.
For sure. All righty. We are jumping into the next one, and right now we have Gabriel Gonzalez with the High A affiliate with the Seattle Mariners. He was born January 4th in Venezuela. Gabriel Gonzalez, overall, his stats, he has 917 at-bats in the minors. He has a 302 average, 377 on base, slug 483, on base plus slugging 860, 32 home runs, 28 stolen bases. That was his career. 2023 really saw him break out, to be honest with you. In my opinion, I think we really saw a breakout here. He did finish with High A. In 2023, he had 477 at-bats, 298 average, 361 on base, slug 476, on base plus slugging 837, 10 stolen bases, and 18 home runs with 23 doubles, 89 strikeouts, and 36 walks. I think you would agree with this. I think Gabriel Gonzalez made some money this year. What do you think?
So you said breakout. I would maybe argue that the breakout was last year potentially, but really good season. And in fact, I mean, we did talk about Gabriel Gonzalez last year too, and I think we both said, pay attention, 2023 is going to be a big year for him. And I think we were right. Yeah. He really blew up on the scene at Single A, and the power was slow to come too. So I think the numbers are even better because he hit 348 at Single A, and he was going for a while without any home runs, and then they started coming, and then he was promoted. And at High A, even though his numbers were lagging at High A, he was hitting with a lot of power. Mm-hmm. Granted, this is the Mariners and their affiliate at that level, the Everett Aqua Sox, they have a really shallow porch there, so that happens a lot. But really impressive power outage there, and I'm still like way on board. I think Gabriel Gonzalez is a really solid all around bat. He has a reputation apparently as a non-athlete, which I don't get. I don't see in the numbers. I think he's a professional hitter, so I say invest with confidence. He made my core four, or what later became the Fab Five. So I think he's a serious target. Go get Gabriel Gonzalez.
Do you own him in our league?
I do not. No.
Oh, okay.
The only members of our core of my Fab Five that I own are Cole Young. I think that's it in our league.
Okay.
Roman Anthony. He's another one.
I should have prefaced that a little bit better. This year was another stepping stone for him. He's only 19 years old. He will be 20 in a few days. But another stepping stone. He's going to be in Double-A this year at 20 years old. I think the world of him. In my opinion, he's going to go get him. Last year, maybe we slow played it a little bit and kind of said, this is a target to watch. Go get him.
Agreed. Go get Gabriel Gonzalez. GG.
Good game. All right. Moving on to the next one. We have an unknown to me, but that's okay because he's with the New York Yankees affiliate. We all know my hatred for the New York Yankees. I will not stop saying it. His name is John Cruz, and he's with the rookie affiliate with the New York Yankees. He is 6'3", 171 pounds. He's only 18 years old. Won't be 19 till at least the middle of the season. Born 8/29 of 2005. So he's got two different rookie levels that he's played in. He played in a rookie level last year, and he played in a rookie level this year in the Florida Gulf Coast League. That would be stateside, so we're happy to see that. So this year he had 177 at-bats, .294 average, .376 on base, slugged .531 with an on base of plus slugging of .907. 44 strikeouts, 22 walks, 10 home runs, 9 stolen bases, 6 doubles, 3 triples. I don't know anything about John Cruz, Ross.
Well, time to inform yourself, Brian, about John Cruz, because I think he was a big short season breakout this year and put up some really fabulous numbers that you went through. There's interesting power potential here. I do think the fact that STS right now is not including his DSL numbers in his projections helps him, which I'd like to see. I'd like to see those included because they were a little down last year. But the power was pretty insane for a youngster at the level that he played at the rookie level, 17. So pretty impressive numbers in just 202 plate appearances, those 10 home runs. I do have him ranked in my top 100. I think he's a guy you want to target now on the possibility that this is legit and is only going to get better. So I say go get him. Go get him.
Yep. Super cheap. Nobody should, unless you have some people in your league that are just fanatics with the DSL and shorts league seasons. This should be very cheap. You should be able to get him for next to nothing. Just by knowing his name, I think you're going to surprise some people. Yeah, go. It's fine if you go get him. I'm not going to get him because he's a Yankee. There's only 2 teams in the major league that I will not take prospects on: the Yankees and the Rockies. So yeah, one thing that you need to know about me is you guys can go buy here if you want, but New York Yankees and Colorado Rockies prospects I will not own. That's just a personal bias. Go buy them if you want.
I say get them now before it's too late, or get them now. Here's a better way to say it. Get them now to see what becomes. But don't pay prices for expectations that he's going to be something that he might not be either.
Okay.
So before we move on to the next guy, I'm moving on my next beer. So I got to say, this is a hazy IPA revision, Tahoe Haze, Northeast style hazy IPA. So this is my last regular IPA. And then all I got left, get this, is Imperial IPAs. So
nice.
Going to get real messy here real soon after I finish this guy.
I had to switch to a Coors Light just to cut it for a little bit.
All right. Let's move on. Next guy.
Okay, next guy I'm excited about. I'm excited about this guy because of one huge reason. Our next guy is Bryce Eldridge. Bryce Eldridge is with the Single A affiliate with the San Francisco Giants. He is 6'7", 223 pounds. He is only 19 years old. He was drafted round 1, pick 16 overall out of high school, Madison, Vienna, Virginia. And I don't know why I said Virginia like that, but that's cool. We only had 109 at-bats in 2023. 109 at-bats. He batted .294 on base, 400, slugged .505 on base plus slugging .905, 34 strikeouts, 20 walks, 6 home runs, 1 stolen bases. I will tell you why I am super excited about this right now. I have a huge comp to him of Wade Meckler.
What?
Yeah, dude.
Where are you getting that?
Because he's a high average guy. He has quite a bit more power than Meckler already, I think. I see Wade Meckler here. Just bear with me. Watch 2024. He's going to be a huge average guy with a little bit more power than Meckler. Plus, he's got a great mustache.
Okay. Well, how to respond to that? Interesting. So he does have a great mustache. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's a great mustache. And he's 6'7".
At 18, that's pretty impressive.
I know. I can't even. I'm 40 and I can't even grow a mustache.
He's 19 now, I guess. But okay, so STS doesn't see that in the projection. I don't know that I see that. That's such an interesting comp. But STS sees a guy with a lot of power, not nearly the same quality of hit tool that Meckler's was carrying with him. But they have Bryce Eldridge right now projected for 38 home runs per 600 plate appearances.
It's pretty awesome.
It's huge. It's huge. Very small sample to draw a lot of conclusions from, of course. Only 130 plate appearances, but he made it up to single A level. Did hit 6 home runs. So I don't know. I mean, I see a power potential bat here. He is on the Giants, I guess. Maybe that has something to do with your comp. But I also believe Bryce Eldridge is the pitcher. Were you familiar with that?
I was not. Is he still pitching?
I don't know that he pitched this year, but I think he came into the season as a dual athlete. Or not a dual athlete, but a dual threat, kind of like an Ohtani.
Yeah. He's built like a pitcher. He's freaking huge.
Yeah. Huge guy. So I would say his future is probably in hitting. But I see him more of a power hitter here than like a Wade Meckler type. But a pretty good one. Looks like a pretty solid one to me.
I'm endorsing this one. I like Bryce Eldridge. I like him a lot. And I think you should go get him.
Yeah, for sure. I'm all for it. The thing is, he's probably not super cheap because he does come in with some notoriety, being a first-round pick, the first selection by the San Francisco Giants. So he's not unknown. You'll have to pay up. But I think the price is worth admission. So I'm for it. I say go get him.
Cool. Yeah, I'm going to plant my flag here. He's one of my guys. He's going to be a part of my Fab Five.
Ooh! I can't wait to hear it.
Ooh! All right. The next one, we got another Yankee. And might be the only Yankee that I've ever liked as a prospect. And I'll tell you, we'll get into it. We've had 2 different podcasts that we've talked about the Martian, Mr. Jasson, or is it Jason or Jasson?
It's just Jason. Yeah, it looks like. I mean, ass is in there, so it looks like Jasson.
Yeah,
but
okay,
it's just Jason.
Yeah, Jasson Dominguez, the Martian, the New York Yankees center fielder, 5'9", 190 pounds, 20 years old. He debuted last year, which I thought was stunning. He was born February 7th, 2003 in the Dominican Republic. This year, I'm just going to do this year, he had 118 at-bats, 265 average, 377 on base, slugged 425, on base plus slugging, 802, 15 home runs, 40 stolen bases, 133 strikeouts, 83 walks, 22 doubles, 3 triples. I'm going to tell you why I like Jasson Dominguez, and that is because the New York papers, the media said that the Martian, Jasson Dominguez, was going to be the best thing since sliced bread. He was going to be the greatest hitter since Mickey Mantle. And there was no doubt about it. Like, they were for sure stating this. Like, no matter what, he is going to be the greatest baseball player ever. And he fell on his face. Most people, 98% of people, would have crumbled and never been able to survive it. He proved he's a really good baseball player. He showed everything that he needed to make it to the major leagues. He's still not to the caliber that the media projected him to, but I really enjoy Jasson Dominguez now. And it's for all of that. Most people can't survive something like that. Matter of fact, okay, a side story, Zach Greinke said that he would not go to the New York Yankees because of his anxiety. he wouldn't have been able to handle the New York press, the New York facade, however you want to say it. Jasson Dominguez has got one hell of an uptick in my book for handling that shit.
Yeah. When you say facade, I think you like pressure maybe is more appropriate.
Yeah, just bubble and aura.
Yeah, okay. I see, yeah. The aura. Okay, I'm following you.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's fake. It's not fake. It's real there.
No, it's certainly real. Yeah, certainly real. It's an aura around it.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm super conflicted when it comes to Jasson Dominguez. Where to start? So we did a player eval on him last year, and much to your point, we came into that eval being like, yeah, he fell on his face early on, and we sort of reveled in it a little bit, right? Both you and I, because he was so hyped. Like, the hype was immense, and he just didn't live up to it. And I think you and I both enjoy when that doesn't happen for whatever reason. Sick pleasure. I don't know. But this year, or then last year, he showed us that he was a ball player. He did a really good job. And last year, I would say his season was very similar. It wasn't a huge breakout. In fact, the beginning of the season was pretty poor. He turned it on near the end and had a very strong finish to the season, which tells you about the type of quality player he is. And got a major league call-up at the end, right? So playing under the New York Lights, he was a star. He really was a star for the Yankees. He hit 4 home runs in a pretty small sample size and 33 plate appearances, 4 home runs. All of a sudden, the billing is back that the best thing since sliced bread, essentially, Jasson Dominguez, he's here. He got hurt. He's going to be out for a while, which, unfortunate turn of events, but I feel like the hype is now too strong. I've seen him ranked super aggressively on prospect lists as a result, and I'm not sure where that's coming from. I mean, 4 home runs in the major leagues in your first 33 plate appearances is fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but you have a whole slew of minor league data to back up where he should be ranked too. And it's not as a 677 slugger like he was in those 33 plate appearances. It's a guy that can hit for power, but at least not right now, not looking like a 40 home run guy, looking maybe like a 15 to 20 home run guy, and maybe 30 to 40 stolen bases. Those are really good numbers. Don't get me wrong, but the billing is that, he's way up here. And I've seen so many top 10 prospect assignments to him. I just I'm starting to feel that same way again, where I'm a little off. And even last season, I did some of these shorts with Tom, one of our STS guys, and he asked who was overrated between these players, and I would say Jasson Dominguez, because the hype was too strong.
Yep. And
it wasn't because I don't think he's a good prospect. It was just because the hype is too strong, and now I'm feeling that again, and it's pushing me away from me having high regard of him, which I did have last year.
Yep. Even
though I have not really docked him in my rankings or anything like that as a result, he is still a highly ranked prospect for me. I have him at, let's see if I can find Jasson Dominguez, at number 37. And even people at STS have him in the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a mismatch. 37 is a good player. I think he's a very good player, but I'm not seeing the top 10 guy right now. I'm just not. He had a great debut. That happens. So did Evan Carter, who I do have as a top 10 prospect, incidentally. But, I think so often these turn out to be like sell events, Not that I'm looking to sell Evan Carter, but I would be if I owned Jasson Dominguez. No doubt about it.
I think if this is a shot against you and me, I think we are both falling into the entrapment of we can't stand what the media has done to this gentleman, and we're so sick and tired about hearing it that we're gonna drop him down. I think he's 19 on my top 100 list. I believe he's top 20. I think it's 19. But yeah, I do. I get so irked and mad, and then I really start looking into the numbers and saying the kid's just not very good. And you guys are preaching that he's incarnate. You know, he's coming back. Here he is. It's Jesus himself. And then I look at it and I'm like, no, he's not. He's awful. And he's not awful. He's very, very freaking good. He's only 20 years old. He'll be 21 at the start of the season. Probably
well,
starting.
I pulled up I've got your rankings here. That's the great thing about STS. I can always look at them. You have him at number 33, so you're closer aligned to me.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
I thought I am higher than that. I think I would, revamp that, and I'd have him probably in the top 20. Well, maybe not. There's a lot of guys I like, but anyways, I'm just saying that I think he's really, really good. He's 21 years old. He's starting for the New York Yankees. They're probably starting him because of the media shit.
Yeah, he's not even 21 yet. He'll be 21
at the start of the year,
for sure. But he's going to be out, I think, half the year. He's going to be gone half the year with an injury.
Did he tear ACL?
Tommy John. He had Tommy John? Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, UCL. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
so he's going to be gone for a while,
Yeah. So, okay, this is where I stand on Jasson Dominguez as far as getting him. Don't go get him because you ain't going to be able to afford him.
Whoever owns him is likely a huge fan. That's how it goes with these. Likely he's ended up with somebody that loves him.
Yeah. Okay, to put it in perspective, in our league, where you can we have an open universe for our drafts. He was drafted at 16 years old. 16. And the same owner has him. And he's not going.
He was untouchable for most of that time.
Yeah.
I think it's a mistake. He should be trading him. There's a couple moments that right when he first came out and the hype was so high on Jasson Dominguez, he was a top 30 prospect, like right out of the gates. And then after that debut, because it was so strong that he's carrying out top 10 billing, he's a good trade candidate at those 2 points in time. And I view those as almost equal because you could have got top 30 prospect billing, 3 years ago. Now it's top 10. So like you've netted some spots, but you could have transferred that for somebody that, who knows, could have been a top 5 guy or whatever. Anyway,
this might be the only time that I ever say this because I don't think it happens very often. It might actually happen more than I think, but this is a perfect sell candidate because you can get so much value out of it. Like you find a Yankees fan, sell him to the Yankees fan and get Sagisi and Emerson and whoever the hell you want out of there, and they'll do it because they're such freaking diehard fans. I don't think I'll ever say that again. I really, unless it's another Yankees player.
So let me put it this way. I think Dominguez is a really good player.
So do I.
I'm with you that he is overranked because of his professional debut right now. And the hype that was surrounding him when he was first coming up, that still was lingering behind the scenes. The time to buy him was last season. I think we said that on the show pretty emphatically that we were fans and we thought you should get him. If you didn't get him then at the prices he was at, like you're not getting him now, and it's not worth it anymore. It was worth it there for a moment. It's not worth it anymore.
So I want to put something in perspective, actually something that happened today anyways. I don't want to get too far off the rail. I know I am. But Vaughn Grisham was traded today for Chris Sale, correct?
Yep.
Can you imagine if the New York Yankees would have traded, let's just say the Braves, because Braves are a huge market team in baseball too, but the Yankees are on a whole nother level. If that would have happened with the Yankees, that fan base would have freaking flipped their minds on a young player getting traded for an old pitcher.
But it's not even just the fans.
Yeah, the media would have went nuts. They would have said this is the worst trade that the Yankees could have ever made. And I think it's a good trade.
Everybody in the industry that I seem to have communications with on a regular basis or am adjacent to is way down on Grissom. Like they just don't.
I'm not a fan of him. I'm not either. I never.
But I do like. I like him. I actually think he's pretty interesting. To me that deal makes sense in the major leagues because there's contracts and things like that also go into play. In a fantasy league, do you do that deal? I don't know. It seems like in our league, you have to pay like exorbitant prices to get any sort of young talent. And that could include like a Chris Sale or more even, So maybe that deal goes down there too. But yeah, there's a lot of outrage associated with it. It's interesting. And yeah, it would never happen in New York. It would not happen for Jasson Dominguez.
People would lose their freaking minds if a young talent left New York for an old pitcher. Lose their it's just boggling to me because
I don't know, Brian. I don't know because that's what they did for like decades. They were selling all their talent in their farm for established players. That was their game plan for vets. It's not a bad game plan.
They weren't trading though. They were just buying them. They were free agents that they could just turn and burn.
They were doing both.
They
did both. They traded a lot. They didn't have much in their farm, and they didn't really keep them around because they were always moving for established guys.
They didn't care. Yeah, they didn't care.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but I'm just saying. Let's just say that they traded the Martian for Blake Snell. I mean, New York would blow up. It would just blow up. They'd say, "What are you doing? Everybody needs to be fired."
I don't know. Maybe
it would be a good trade. It would be a fantastic trade, and they would lose their mind.
Yeah,
I'm going off the rails. I'm speaking from my heart. Moving on.
I like it.
So, randomly, we got a special guest from Canada. Doc just said, "Hey, let me pop on here real quick to talk about some prospects." Doc Holliday's here. Hello, my friend. Welcome from Canada. He's got a cigarillo going. Say a few words, man.
Well, I know you all probably did the drink business earlier, so I'll keep it quick with it. You can get these guys. These are some Panthers. They're just kind of little silly little cigarillos. We don't have time for the full thing. Kind of like my appearance right now. And they normally go $59.99 on Cigars International, but sometimes you get them for $9.99. You get this whole carton. It's crazy deal. And then I'm drinking. There's not coffee in there.
Okay, all right.
Well, I don't know. I should probably look at Canadian laws. I am technically in my vehicle right now. We're not going anywhere, baby. I'm in here, away from family over the holidays, so we can do a quick little. I gotta get my fix. I feel like I got some addiction. I think we got problems, boys. But I got some Larceny Kentucky bourbon. Just a drop in there to say I'm part of the thing. And now, do y'all want me to let you know where I am? Where exactly in Canada? Because that might lead us into our next prospect.
Yeah, no. You don't tell us about it. Just make sure nobody comes knocking on the window asking what you're doing.
If we get a DUI on our podcast,
I'm just fleeing back to America. Fleeing back to America. I'm like, sorry, buddy, baseball was calling. I am in Burlington, Ontario, where I was raised. And that is where someone who is a little bit better at baseball than I am, Owen Caissie, was born and raised. He went to Notre Dame High School, Notre Dame, And I actually went to the same high school. It's a very crazy world, very small world. It's so funny. He's 6'5", this ginger kid, Irish last, Owen Caissie, very iconic kind of guy. I feel like if this kid was in, the Northeast or Texas or one of these baseball hotbeds, his experience in high school would have been a lot different, because here it's hockey, and then some more hockey. So, but he's about to change. He's about to go through some changes, because now he's in the baseball rabid, the rabidest fans, some of them, the Chicago Cubs organization. And this kid, I'm hearing that he's got possibly, after Junior Caminero, the most power in all of the minors. He might have the most power. I heard it's up there. There are some metrics behind this. I'm going to be bad on metrics today because, as you can tell, I'm using my phone. But this kid, he's launching bombs after bombs. I think this is a good place for him, actually. Sometimes, the model has some funny rankings. You're not sure. Is that sample size? What is this? With Owen Caissie, I mean, he might even be in the top 10 now for me. He's going to be ramping up and launching to the top of rankings this spring. I think you're going to see it. And I don't know. I could see Mr. Owen Caissie maybe getting a cup of coffee by the end of this year. I mean, he's 20 years old in Double-A. Is that correct? I mean, that's
hot. That's a hot
these
take,
days.
man.
These days, it's like, I don't think he's going to start. I don't think he's anywhere close to ready for the start of the year, personally. But I think you're going to want him revved up so he can get you a chance at that compensation pick, right? So the way things are set up now, I think it's just you're going to see more guys go from Double-A to the hop. So anyway, I guess I had a thought or two about that.
That was a fantastic introduction. I'm going to bounce back just a little bit. Here we are. We got Owen Caissie, and he's with a Double-A affiliate with the Chicago Cubs. He's 6'5". Is what Doc says. But MILB says 6'3", 190 pounds. They're wrong. Doc's right. He's age 21, born Burlington, Ontario, Canada. Drafted round 2, pick 45. Went to high school Notre Dame, Burlington, Ontario. His stats this year in 2023 look as 439 at bats, 289 average, on base of 398, slugging 519 with an OPS of 917, 22 home runs, 7 stolen bases. An odd thing is he got caught stealing 9 times, 164 strikeouts, 76 walks, 31 doubles, 2 triples. Well, we all know Doc's opinion here. He loves Caissie.
I'll give you one knock on him, and it's the knock we all know. First of all, I'm going to say the steals, the guy that big, whatever. I don't think it's going to keep happening. But I think, and maybe you or Ross want to pick up on this note, but we got to keep an eye on those strikeouts. That's the only reason he hasn't been higher so far, from what I can tell. But I'll say one more thing. Think about this. People I've been talking to around here, I'm like, you got a base. I have to remind them, like, you guys got a baseball stud from your area, from the city. They don't care. They don't know. Here's the thing. You'll see a guy like some of these Canadians, though, they'll go down to America and they'll go to an American high school, a prep school, and they'll, and that's how, they'll go forward. I mean, the fact that he stayed in Canada and he still got drafted in the second round speaks volumes to what the scouts thought of him. So I'll just leave it on that. And what do y'all think about this fella?
I agree. I'm on board with you, Doc. I really like Caissie. Caissie? How do you say that?
Caissie.
Okay. So I'm on board. I like everything about it, but what you said it. You mentioned the one big bugaboo in the room is that strikeout percentage. He's got to figure it out. Other than that, he's on a rocket ship to the moon. Ross?
No, I agree. I agree completely with everything you guys said. Owen Caissie, big physical guy, hits with power, pretty good all-around numbers. As Doc mentioned, the big concern, the one red flag in this profile is the strikeouts. So, and they were pretty high last year despite pretty good numbers, but we're looking at a guy that was 20 years old last year, 21 this year, for most of the season, 21, 22. But he could be in AAA on the precipice of the major leagues. Just work on making consistent contact, and there you go. You got a major leaguer, and probably one of the better major leaguers for the Chicago Cubs. Third Cubs guy on the list that we've talked about, by the way.
I don't think Wrigley gets talked about enough as a hitter's stadium either. I mean, it's up there. It's if people get to keep ripping on Bellinger, and his metrics, his power metrics are all down. I'm like, well, he hit 26 last year, so something's happening, and I think part of that was probably the way the wind was blowing at Wrigley. It helps, and if you already have massive power like this guy, I think the future will be a lot of fun to watch him. See how, and he's got something about him, right? You could see them really, building him in there as a cornerstone in the outfield.
So Bellinger hasn't signed anywhere, right? He's still a free agent.
I'd love him to come back to Chicago at this point.
Okay, if he doesn't though, let's just talk about this. We could have Pete Crow-Armstrong and Caissie coming up to the bigs next year. That's a fun outfield.
And you got Alcantara knocking on the door, maybe?
Yeah. That's a fun outfield. We got some rooks just playing in the outfield in the Cubs.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the arms, Cade Horton and Ben Brown, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I mean, it's not like, I was looking at Dansby Swanson today. He's still just 29 years old. I feel like he feels a little older than that. They can. He didn't have the year he had the year before, but I looked at the numbers. They're fine. He's I mean, this is an interesting team, and I'm a Justin Steele believer. I'm a fanatic of him. I think, I'm not like necessarily a Cubs fan or anything, but it'll be interesting to see where they go from here. They're definitely going to be the Chicago team of note for the foreseeable future. So the White Sox got some work to do.
I mean, I think it's been that way for a while. It seems like. Anyway.
I'm a fan of both those players that you just mentioned. Justin Steele, he's obviously on my dynasty team that is legit now. He's the cornerstone on my pitching staff. And I got to say, as far as head game is concerned, Dansby Swanson, that's a good-looking gentleman, man. That's a good-looking fella.
That was an interesting lead-in. I didn't know where
to go. So, okay, all right.
I'm heterosexual enough to admit when people are good looking. It's a handsome man. It's a handsome man.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're all on board. All three of us.
Yes, sir.
Is he a go-getter?
Yeah, go get him. Yeah, he's especially a go-getter right now. I think there is helium there that's starting to sink in, but it's not completely there yet. I mean, my opinion on him has even changed in the last month or so. I'm like, I'm starting to go through the outfield, prospects. I'm like, I mean, he's up there. He's up there near the top. Yeah. So, yeah. Yep. Get him now. It's going to be way more expensive in spring,
yeah.
I think.
It's not nearly as expensive as you just said. Not nearly as expensive as it will be. Mm-hmm. Now is the time to go get Caissie. Owen Caissie.
Yep. Keep an eye on the strikeouts. That's the one red flag.
Agreed. Doc, you going to hang out for Roman Anthony?
I'll hang out for Roman Anthony and maybe one more. I said 7:30 when I'm done, and right where I'm at right now, it's 7:21, so we'll see.